Good morning, everyone. So, a couple days before the eclipse, this crop circle appeared, and I believe it was on the 17th. So, it's rather interesting to me. There's a lot of things in this crop circle. So, I decided to start investigating a little bit and trying to decipher what it meant. So, first, I decided I'd have to figure out the orientation, which way to read it from. So, as I looked, as I remembered the way that the moon was going over the sun, it was coming from like a northwestern direction towards, like southeast. So I looked up the moon's orbit, and as you can see, the orbit is tilted 5 degrees, which makes it, come in from a northwest direction heading southeast, as I said. So, using that, I flipped the image um, to about, that angle, and he's probably tilted a little bit more to the left. Um, the moon was coming in at this angle, about. So the orientation of the crop circle would be this way, which also resembles a comet. But aside from that, as you can see here, these symbols are pretty interesting. This symbol here resembles an F. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, so I decided to start looking at symbols. So first I looked up runes because of the location, and then I looked up Aramaic, and a strange line of coincidences started happening. So as I looked up the Aramaic, I found that symbol, for one, right here, reversed. And the symbol's name is Yod. And as I was Googling it, there was something that I typed in, what does Yod mean? And as I was looking through, there was somebody who typed in, what does Yoda mean? So I was gonna make a little joke when I was doing my presentation and say, Yoda sent us a message. And so anyway, I continued, looking into this, and I really had some doubts as to whether or not this was Aramaic. And so as you can see here, there's also this X or cross, and that would be Ta. And there's this six-looking thing right here that's also here, and it could either be Rays or Beth, however you would say it. And then there's Lamdi, and there's just quite a few that correspond. This W here, Sin, and then this M-looking thing is right here. Mem. Let me pull it up over here. I traced everything in Photoshop, exactly so you can see. So here we have a clearer look, and just a second. As you can see, I didn't put the other line here. Turned it red, but without my overlay, as you can see, this line maybe let me see if I have a better one to show you with. Alright, maybe this is a little bit better, easier for you to see. So this is where it started getting a little crazy. So all these different Phoenician is from Aramaic. All these different letters correspond. So like I said, this is Mem, and even this Kof, whatever, similar to this. And there's just a bunch of them. So, and these were kind of hard to make out. On this side. So anyway, I was just doubting it. I didn't think that. I'm like, this just, this is kind of stretching. It's probably not Phoenician, and it's probably just some guys that were out in the field with boards, and I was just looking into it, but I wasn't really too, whatever, convinced until I had to pause. I had, some stuff going on. I decided well, I didn't decide. I had to look into my email for a second. And as I looked into my email, I immediately seen this, Yoda F. I'm like, what the hell? That was from yesterday, 27th. So I was just like, wait a minute. Because I named this file Phoenician Alphabet Yoda. Because like I said, I was going to make a Yoda joke. Just trying to kind of picking fun at it, like, Yoda sent us a message. So I'm like, okay, that's a little strange. I get a message from Yoda F. Like, who the hell even has that name? Someone just trying to sell me a TV. But like, who even has that name? So the point is I'm looking at this, and as I said, this resembles an F to me. And it means Yod. So this is Yod F. So I'm like, get out of here. So that's like, definitely, I'm like, that is definitely some type of confirmation. So I began, like, looking into it even more, and I googled, what Yod, as I said, I googled what Yod means, and it's the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And it means let's see here, I looked up a bunch of it. What does Yod mean? the word yod in Hebrew, in Aramaic, all that, it means arm or hand. So I'm like, arm or hand? So as I'm looking at this picture, it occurred to me that this is an arm coming off of this disc. I mean, that'd be the scientific term for it. This is an arm. There's no other name for it. This would be considered an arm protruding from this disc, or whatever. It's an arm. So there's no way to like confuse that. So this first symbol here means arm. So this is an arm. Like, what are the chances of that? So there's just, so many things that started coincidentally happening. So looking further into this, I realized that I started counting these, and there's 3 rows of 7, which equals 21. And then this just happens to be 8 in this row. This is the 8th. 8/21. That was the day of the eclipse. So, how ironic is that? And then this symbol right here is a very ancient symbol, which I'm going to have to get the direct because it means a couple different things and a couple different. It means, the Nazis used this symbol because of its, ancient meanings, and just there's a lot of stuff associated with this symbol. So I'm going to have to get a direct meaning on it. But as I looked closer, I seen this, which can only be interpreted as a planet or something, with this arm stretching out off of it, which is a smaller. This is a smaller version of this. Here it is with the arm stretching off. And then here it is again with the arm stretching off. And then, as you can see, here it is again, smaller, and it looks as if it's going into some type of opening or some type of tube or something. And then here it is through the tube, or wormhole or something, and here it is again, smaller. And then there's 2 blank spots, and then there's this symbol, which means something in the same dialect coming from Aramaic that goes into Hebrew and hieroglyphs, and all that stuff is all descended and built on. So this in Egyptian means something as well. Let's see. It means the same thing. Yud. What also is pretty crazy is that phonetics, our language, comes from the Phoenicians, and phonics, language or word, and that's also thoth. Basically with Hermes, and just there's just so many things that are tied to it. So Phoenician would be a practical language, to be pretty honest. And in the one vision I had, and in my book, I talk about this Phoenician planter, this vision of a Phoenician planter that I had, which, it's just, all these things synchronizing is just, pretty wild. But moving further into this, I realized that this X also symbolizes, there's an X that's fresh in my mind, is the one I was talking about in the previous video with the eclipse, the X that marks the spot in Carbondale after the 7-year period, 7 squares. Okay. Um, and I try to look for, these things are like crosswords. They mean everything, in different directions. But so there's this 7 years until the next eclipse, 2024. Also, the 7 years of tribulation. So I'm thinking that this right here looks like a divide, a split, a divide, and so does this right here. This looks like this 2 theme, but this X, um, in 2024, when the other eclipse of 7 years comes by, it's going to create an X on Little Egypt, or the whole Phoenician, and phonetics. It comes, it's all tied in with Egypt, and it creates an X on Carbondale, the same exact place that I said that I had the vision of 0-point gravity occurring, which I didn't even know there was a Carbondale in Illinois, and I surely didn't know that Carbondale was the point where the eclipses intersect, creating an X marks the spot. Definitely didn't know that, and I stated a whole bunch of facts about this in the last video, and this to me just looks like a fish hook, and it's funny because I was just watching Mona, whatever, the cartoon for kids with my son, and Maui, the god Maui, had this hook that he was given, and I also just had that vision talking about something to do with Hawaii. But as you continue on, these squares, the very last one is blank. Nothing. As I had seen in the one vision, the eraser that went across the entire land, giant eraser that went across the land. I mean, that's what this looks like to me. We have 1, 2, 3 squares here, or 2 lines intersecting them. And there's these 2 to 1. So 3, which would be, I keep talking about, this is how crazy this is. I keep talking about this point where basically the merging, when 2 become 1. It talks about it in the Emerald Tablets. It talks about it multiple times. I talk about, how our consciousness is going to basically, we're going to be the reversal. When the reversal takes place, it's when 2 become 1. It's when we, when we basically our split halves become 1. We become whole, and there's just a lot to it. But it goes from 3, which would be, they say it's duality, but technically there's 3, the Trinity, because there's positive, negative, and neutral. And then there's the 2, when they combine, they become 1, or none, nothing, because we exist as nothing. And I mean, this is what I'm always talking about. And this just corresponds perfectly with all that. And then these right here look like this stairway that I was just talking about in the last vision I had. I talked about this stairway that I seen, or it looks like Kukulkan Khan, or whatever, the serpent god, the feathered serpent. And then here there's 2 lines with a circle in the middle. Let's see if I can. Might be able to see it a little bit better here. As you can see, these blue spots were things I wasn't sure of that were cut out. The red is obviously the outlines. Some of these patterns meld in with the outlines, so it was very hard distinguishing them. But if all these coincidences aren't enough, so then this circle that looks like a planet or whatnot is always depicted with this little arm coming off, like this one is here. So I'm coming through some more symbols. I noticed this, and I looked at it, and I'm like, what does it say? 0, 1. It says it's a weather map, synoptic symbols. 0, 1. And I immediately seen this right below it, 0, 1, with this triangle of all things that's in the infinity pattern, affirming this 0, 1. Synoptic is, the way we think, and I've been talking about this shift taking place within our consciousness, within our consciousness and subconsciousness is splitting, and zeros and ones are also the binary language of computers, for this digital reality, and just a lot of coincidences, but also. So I'm looking for this symbol right here, and the word popped into my mind, staggered cross. So I Googled it, staggered cross, and instantly that symbol popped up. How ironic is that? Unbelievable. That's the first image. It's the first friggin' image with that same triangle that I just showed you, that I just pointed out in this. How frickin' crazy is that? The same triangle right here that I just pointed out, with the 01 for this, with the arm coming off of it, and this and that whole confirmation, and then I go to this, instantly staggered cross, and it's the same thing that pops up with the triangle again, confirming from the last one to this one, the staggered cross. Like, these synchronicities are not even possible. So then I'm looking at this, and this F that was just confirmed by the Yoda F that just so happened to come up ironically again. F meaning hand or arm. What is this? If I had to give this one word, this would be an arm. This is an arm on this disc. It's an arm. That's what the technical name for this would be, an arm. So, what are the odds of this very first letter here being in Aramaic, for one, and for two, the meaning of it meaning arm or hand, which is exactly what this is. It's the only thing it can be interpreted as. I mean, if it meant something different, it could mean other things, it'd be one thing, but this is specific. Like, these things are all like this. It's like I'm being guided. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, call me crazy, but like, these aren't even stretches. Like, this is what it is. Like, what is the odds of all these things synchronizing? Like, honestly, what are the odds? And as you can see, there's not one other. This is that's the exact same thing in the picture. Exact. I mean, it's identical. And as you can see here, there's not one other picture in this whole thing that looks anything like it. It's the only one, and it's the first one. It's the same thing. There's not one other picture here. So the first one. And look at the friggin' number. 1443. 1443. 3 4s. Again. How many times do I talk about this? 44 and 43. Like this shit, I couldn't make this up. Like this is, like, wow. Wow. I'll try to wrap this up as quick as I can, but then there was these are all crop circles from this year too. So there's this one that has this circle in it. It looks like an eclipse. Now keep in mind there was a lunar eclipse a month before the solar eclipse. And it looks like there's two planets out here, a big one and a smaller one. Planet X maybe? I mean, it's kind of an ironic one right there. There's this one. Same thing. A planet out here. Looks to be showing the eclipse. And Earth would be out here from the sun. And it's, connected by energy or some form of connection. And then this one with the cube in the middle. A lot of you know what the cube means and the significance of the cube. Pandora's box. Numerous things with this cube. So then that Yod so then you keep talking about this fish. Well, this, the pearly gate, whatever you want to call it, all this stuff, the Y, Yod, means Y, and then the fish that I keep talking about, or the feminine, and this crop circle just so happens to represent the same thing or the same symbolism, and it looks like the two becoming one, two going into each other. And a lot of these happened at White Horse. It's like the oldest white horse in the UK. Just this giant white horse. Knowing the symbology behind the white horse. And we also had I just seen this that It's pretty. And here are these are other crop circles, Metatron's cube. These are all from like the last couple months. These three right here were from within the last, 2 or 3 months. These were all real close together. And we have this one right here. It's the same circle with this extension coming off, or with this little arm coming off. With another one inside. And these rays. And then it's Metatron's cube. That's what it was. And we have this one, which coincidentally enough, this appeared the same night as the lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse was August 7th. If you count the dots, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. '19, 20, 21. Going into this August 21st solar eclipse. So that's pretty ironic in itself. Or excuse me, I just realized though, there's these 7 lines. The lunar eclipse was on August 7th, and the solar eclipse was on August 21st. There's 21 here. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus the 8th one, so August 8/21, and then the 7th, and then the 3, and then there's obviously some type of message in here, and like I said, I'm trying the best I can to figure it out, and I'll be posting updates when I come to a conclusion. So, there's just way too many coincidences, and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of symbology, and there's a lot of hidden meanings in here. And I'm gonna try to, put some stuff together and figure this out the best I can. But to me, I don't even really need to. It just affirms what I already know. And from what little bit I can understand and decipher. It just, like I said, it confirms what I've been saying all along. So, I'm not going to keep you guys, because I know I've been talking real slow, and I'm going to start trying to put these presentations together. I'm going to write everything down before I do it. That way, I can just buzz right through it, and, get it over with, get the info out there, and nobody's falling asleep. So, stay vigilant, stay tuned.